Welcome back, everybody, to the channel. It's me, Raul Alejandro Mendoza, or the Nerd Gigano, however you want to call it. Doesn't really matter here. It's all good. And we're back to talk some more films as we look at the next film in the Criterion Collection's Essential Fellini box set, or this huge thing right here. Oh my god, I can't wait to be done with these videos so I can stop having to pull this into frame and position it correctly, right? Bask in its glory. And on today's episode of Between the Frames, we're looking at Federico Fellini's 1973 film, Amarcord. This is the film that he won another Best Foreign Language Film Oscar for, and he was also nominated for Best Director and Best Original Screenplay. This is his semi-autobiographical film that details life in fictionalized Rimini that he calls in Borgo San Giano. And yeah, this is one of his best films of all time. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And this one is a little special to me because I actually watched this in theaters on 35mm as it was introduced by the incredible Dr. Carrera at the Museum of Fine Arts at Houston. And oh my god, I've got to tell y'all, I have been itching to talk about this one because this one is my favorite restoration on this box set. And I think that's a little biased, right? But I watched this in 35mm. So let's go ahead and get into it, y'all. Let's read from our excerpt from Criterion.com. Federico Fellini returned to the provincial landscape of his childhood with this carnivalesque reminiscence, recreating his hometown of Rimini in Cinecittà's studios and rendering its daily life as a circus of social rituals, adolescent desires, male fantasies, and political subterfuge. Sketching a gallery of warmly observed comic caricatures, Fellini affectionately evokes a vanished world haloed with the glow of memory, even as he sends up authority figures representing church and state, satirizing a country stultified by fascism. Winner of Federico Fellini's 4th Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film, Amarcord remains one of the director's best-loved creations, beautifully weaving together guiso per roturnos, colorful cinematography, Danilo Donati's extravagant costumes and sets, and Nino Rota's nostalgia-tinged score. Of course, this film is written and directed by Federico Fellini and written as well by Tonino Guerra. It is produced by Franco Cristaldi and it stars Bruno Zanin, Magali Noel, Pupella Maggio, and Armando Brancia. It's cinematography by Guiso Perroturno. It's edited by Ruggero Mastroianni, and of course, the score is done by Nino Rota. The film was released in 1973, and let me tell you all, this film is timeless. I think this is 100%, as the title of this box set kind of says it, this is an essential film from Fellini. This is one of the most important films in his filmography. It's also one of his best work, and it's honestly one of my favorites of all time. This movie is beautiful. I mean, in every single way. It's autobiographical. It's semi-autobiographical because it's really through the eyes of Federico Fellini's friend. But when do we ever believe that? Federico Fellini was a born liar. He was great at lying. So, is this actually Fellini's life, or was this his friend's? We'll never know because the man is dead by now, of course. But this is still a very autobiographical film of fascist Italy in Rimini, and this is just amazing. It really is. I've watched this film 3 times now. I watched it first time ever in the MFAH theater for the 35mm screening. I watched it a second time for the Nerdcore podcast when we did our Fellini month in January, and now I rewatched it again. And this film is fantastic. This film is beautifully crafted from Federico from beginning to end. It's hilarious, it's satirical, it's topical, it's just everything that Federico Fellini makes within his filmography. It's this film. It's Fellini-esque 100% down to the word. It's filled with its fantastical components. It's filled with its sexual themes. It's filled with its, coming of age aspects as well. And it has its comedy, but it also has its very deep introspective looks into fascism. And it's a study of life and really what he remembers of his time growing up. And the film is incredibly shot with some of the most beautiful cinematography you'll see. And also, its score, well, this is my favorite score from Nino Rota. I mean, this score is constantly in my head. I'm constantly stuck in my head, and I love it. I think it's a really beautiful score, and it's very nostalgic for somebody who didn't even live in Italy at the time, wasn't even born at the time, actually. And it felt really like nostalgic, and it felt very well crafted, and that's what it is. It's a well crafted score, but for a well crafted film. A lot's going on here. You're juggling a lot of characters and a lot of lives. I love the character of Gradishka. I love the boys who are really starting to figure out their own lives and their own sexualities, and it's kind of dumb and it's kind of like funny, and it's what's it called, grotesque, and it's very like raunchy, but you know what? That is what sex-crazed teenage boys are like. They're like that. And I love that part of this film. I love the political parts where you really do see what life under Mussolini probably was like. And I also love the satirical parts that really show how bad Italy, pretty much went on its knees to be the subjects to fascism, and how so many people just accepted it and not, what's it called? We're so afraid of just, speaking out against it, even though that there was dire consequences to speaking out against it. And it's something you couldn't do at the time. But it was still something that, that Federico Fellini kind of shows that, like, how much a country changes when it's under fascism, and how much its people become basically the laughingstock because they have, molded themselves in the view of fascism. And this movie is it's perfect to me. It's perfect. I think it's one of the greatest movies of all time. It is one of the best movies from Italy, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful rendition from Federico Fellini. That final scene is very reminiscent of a film that would come in later, because of course everybody who knows Amir Kusturica knows that Amir Kusturica loves Federico Fellini. So I'm wondering if his final scene in Underground is kind of reminiscent of this. And I can't stop singing the praises for this film. It's amazing. It's one that I recommend everybody watches when they get into the filmography of Federico Fellini. But you got to go and watch it. Really, it's beautiful in every sense of the word. Now let's talk about this restoration. This is a new 4K digital restoration, and let me tell you, holy shit, it is amazing. When I watched this in 35mm, it looked gorgeous. Chef's kiss, just amazing. And now watching it on my Blu-ray player on my TV, it looks so beautiful. They put a lot of work into these restorations for the films that are in color, and you can really tell because this film, I watched the second time I watched the original restoration of this, the HD digital restoration of it. And it's a grand improvement. It really is. It's no way to put it. This movie is the definitive looking version of this movie. It looks amazing. It still keeps that beautiful film grain, but its colors pop. It really does. and it just looks beautiful. I mean, this really is the work that is done by Criterion and those who help restore these films. They really put so much work into it. It's so much, care into this that that they don't, take, the that they don't take away those factors and those aspects to the film that make it unique. But they also they make sure to remaster and restore them so they can look great and presentable now. Because if we would just keep the original versions, damage comes to the negative, and you're basically watching an outdated version where, these restorations really allow for new life to be brought to these films. And that's the idea with this new restoration of Amarcord. It looks amazing. The audio is so clear. Nino Rota's score is beautiful throughout, and it's presented in that beautiful mononeural soundtrack. And I love it. I think that this is the best restoration from this box set. And of course, I have not watched these last two films, and we're gonna go ahead and get through them while we do these videos. But so far, this is my favorite in the box set, and I think that it's just a beautifully restored movie that you can really tell that the people who got their hands on this and worked on this film really cared about preserving that Fellini-esque view of the film, but added those beautiful touches that you see in the movie, because this just, amazing. That certain scene when they're in the, in the snow looks so nice, and whenever they're out in the country, it looks so clear and crisp, and the colors are popping. Every time the Gradishka is on screen and her red is just popping so much, it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. This is really one of the best restorations on this box set, and it's, it ranks up there for me because, there's some restorations in here, like those early ones, where you could tell, it was kind of hard to restore them completely because it still looks a little, choppy and a little, too grainy. But, with these, where they were really able to go into those negatives and really, help repurpose it, and they did some great work with that. So, this film, of course, is my third favorite film from Federico Fellini. It's right under Nights of Cabiria, and it's right on top of La Dolce Vita, and I love it. It's such an amazing movie, and it's definitely one that I go back to and I watch a lot, and I'm constantly listening to the score, and that's why I give that one as well a 5 out of 5. It gets a perfect score from me because it's just that great of a movie. It's one of the most essential. It's not just an essential Fellini film. It's an essential film in cinema history, and that's why I think everybody should watch it. But of course, that's all we wrote today. And of course, if you want to keep up to date in the conversation with me, make sure you follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd under the Nerdy Chicano, and go over to my Twitch channel and follow me at twitch.tv/the Nerdy Chicano. And on YouTube, you're already watching it here, right? Of course, go and subscribe. Leave a like on this video and turn that notification bell on so you don't miss a single bit of content. And of course, keep up to date with everything that I do on the Nerdcore Podcast Network by going to thenerdcore.com. And of course, it's been just a extravagant time, and I've been enjoying making my way through this box set with you all. It's awesome. It's something that I love being able to talk to you all about. So our next film is his 1983 movie, And the Ship Sails On. It's one of his last movies from Federico Fellini in his career, but I've heard a lot of great things about this. We'll see. I have to get to watching this, and the next video actually might be at a different place because I will be moved into my new place in out there, and it might look a little different. It might sound a little different. I don't know. But in the meantime, I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season and a happy new year. And I will see you all in the next video in the new year. And hopefully we'll be able to talk more cinema with each other in 2022. Of course, I don't really have an outro, but I do hope all you wonderful cinephiles and scholars have a wonderful time and relish in the love of cinema. See you all on the next one, friends.